Good evening. I'm obliged to refer you to our disclaimer on slide 2. But with that out of the way, I'm Joe Grimmond, the Executive Chair of CRU Products PLC. CRU is a holding company for a small but expanding, profitable, cash-generative group operating in the specialist plastic product sector. We make extensive use, where appropriate, of recycled materials and support a culture of manufacturing design geared to reducing the single use of plastics. The group is managed by a very experienced and qualified board. Individual details are on the slide 3. The board is responsible for determining the strategy and monitoring its implementation through its subsidiary management. And our aim is to improve social and economic wealth through increased profits, allowing investment in people, processes, and plant, thereby contributing to the overall economic well-being of all of our stakeholders. The current group structure is outlined in slide 4. CRU Products PLC is the AIM-listed holding company. The 3 trading subsidiaries are all profitable, cash generative, and have potential to expand both organically and by acquisition. A little bit more on these subsidiaries a bit later. I don't propose to spend time on the history of the group. A brief synopsis can be found on slide 5. We are focused on the future. With the recent sale in late February of our Haydock manufacturing and distribution activities, together with our associated property, we have eliminated the group debt, and on completion of the property sale, we will have created a cash surplus of circa 7.5 million, no debt. We'll concentrate on developing and adding to the remaining profitable operations. It's worth noting that, notwithstanding some of the difficulties over the past, we have paid some dividend nearly every year from 2012 to 2019 inclusive. We passed in 2020 due to the uncertainties over COVID, some of which still remain. We returned to profitability during 2020. I think that's shown clearly on slide 6. And we updated the market on the 1st of June on our return to profit for the year to 30th of April 2021, in line with the forecasts that you can find in Appendix A and B at your leisure. Very much in line with those forecasts. In that update, we also confirmed that we will pay a final, or recommend the payment of a final dividend of a halfpenny, added to the halfpenny we'd already paid in May, making a penny for the full year. And with the expected completion during the first half of our current financial year of the property sale, this will create a further significant gain. Before we look to the future, a little bit about the current subsidiaries and operations. Tatra Rotolac. If we go to slide 8 and 9, Tatra is an extrusion business which makes a wide range of products, wide customer base, been around for 75 years, always profitable, and has a number of its own products which go into the railway industry, the telecom industry, especially the broadband, high-speed broadband market, where we supply a range of our own products from our own tooling across the industry. I think it's slide 9, which actually shows you some of the products. Is slide 9 coming up? Here we go. Most of the products you see there, most of the shapes are made from our own specialist tooling, and it's all owned by us. The sort of shutter doors you see go all over a wide range of industries: retail, distribution, office. The components that you see fixed or affixed to a brick wall are all various components for the high-speed broadband industry. And we supply many thousands of these across the UK. Global One Pack, slides 10, 11, and 12. Global One Pack's a super little business. Designs and manufactures a range of lotion pumps, triggers, and mist sprayers. Everything is manufactured in China in our own tooling. We then distribute it to European, American, and UK product fillers. Could be personal care market, food market, anything where you see a bottle or a plastic container with a lid or a spray. And I think the following slide shows some of the products. Now, we make everything that you see on the top of those bottles. That's important. It's the top of the bottles at the moment is what we design and manufacture, and we supply on an international basis. Customized Packaging Limited, slide 13 to 14. Again, a specialist niche company, over 50 years experience. It makes and provides solutions to the logistics industry. If you've got a component or a product that requires careful handling during transportation or movement, whether it's in your factory or in a truck or a ship, we will design the perfect product that minimizes the damage at the least cost to you in shipping these products. The businesses all operate in global markets, and those business sectors are forecast to have compound annual growth of between 4.5% and 5.5% over the next 5 years. You can look at slide 16 at your leisure, which gives you some of the background to that. Now for the exciting part, the future development. Slide 15 shows you what we've achieved to date by the sale of moldings, Interpack, and the associated property, eliminating, as I said, our debt and giving us an available cash surplus on completion of the property sale of around 7.5 million. The group's existing operations are forecast to grow both sales and profits in the year to 30th of April 22. Again, you can see those on Appendix A, Appendix B. Independent research confirmed that. It's important to notice that that is without us utilizing a significant cash surplus. So in conclusion, Coral Products is a profitable, well-managed, cash-generative, dividend-paying, cash-rich business operating in niche markets, which are forecast to grow over the next 5 years. We, the management, are confident that we can exploit those opportunities and achieve some significant growth over the next 3 to 5 years. I'm sorry we didn't get the last slide up, Lisa. Everything else went very well.
Okay.
So I've tried to leave as much time for questions as possible. All of the financial information is available on the slides, and really it's what can we add to that makes people more comfortable with us.
First question I've had is around costs. What's the source or the main source of costs, and how does the change in oil price affect the business?
It's the cost is obviously in the plastic, and that can be anywhere between 35% to 60%, depending on the type of product that you're manufacturing. We probably have a material cost of around about 40%. And today, materials are basically in short supply and very expensive. So one, you've got to be on top of your pricing. You've got to be on top of your pricing. You've got to cut your scrap, and you've got to use, where you can, recycled products so that you're cutting out the waste throughout the process. Is it all part of the circular economy that we're all being forced to address? We see price cost pressures on materials not easing this year at all.
We've seen some packaging companies benefit greatly from the increase in deliveries at home. I think mostly people involved in the cardboard industry. Have you seen any benefit from that?
We surprisingly, after the shock of March, April, and May last year, our businesses did very well because we supply a lot of product to things like the health services, telecoms, railways, things that had to be kept going. We're not into the so much the consumer industries or we don't do automotive. All the businesses that suffered, we actually avoided that. I won't say that was down to our clever planning. It was more luck than judgment. But we happened to be in the right spot. And when the pandemic really hit with lots of closures, because we were in essential services and still are, all of our businesses remained open throughout the pandemic, albeit with sometimes reduced workforces through furloughing, and with a great deal of care taken to space people out and ensure safe working conditions.
Next question, what are your thoughts on acquisitions with your cash pile?
We will look at both organic and acquisitive growth. The sector has got lots of opportunities for development internally and externally through acquisition.
Is there any particular profile of company or things that would be additive to the product proposition?
But distribution businesses in the plastic sector, again, niche businesses. We're not really interested in doing the high volume. We've just sold that part. What we've discovered is there's no room for being a mid player in the volume business. We were too small to be large and too large to be small. So we were getting squeezed between the tops and the bottom. And so what we're looking for is products which are niche, which have design-led properties which distinguish them from the run-of-the-mill 100,000 a week type of plastic box or container. We go for that. We actually do, even in our caps and closures and nozzles, we're going for the smaller independent shampoo maker, the not the multinational and not the supermarket chains per se.
Next question I've had is again about management ownership. What percentage of the company is owned by management? And then further to that, are there any institutions or funds that own significant holdings?
Yes, the management, if we include the subsidiary management, subsidiary directors, It's 23% is owned by management. And yes, we have 3, maybe 4 institutional shareholders who have stakes of between 5 and 9%. Bearing in mind, it's difficult to know all the time because so many people are going through nominee holdings, and unless they get above a disposable stake. But the ones that have disclosed, we know there are about 4 which have stakes between 3 and 9%.
Thank you. Next question I've had is, do you see more focus on trying to develop and expand in existing markets or trying to develop new markets?
Both. It's easier to expand in our existing markets, obviously, because we know them. But if an opportunity comes along, and bear in mind, we do our skill set covers almost every part of the plastics industry. We do injection molding. We do we have done blow molding. We do extrusions. We do decorative finishes. We do vacuum forming. So those are basically all of the technical skills that are required in any sector within the plastics industry. What we're unlikely to do is to become a broad-based conglomerate. I've been there in the 90s. It works very well, but a lot of people are uncomfortable if you're trying to spread your wings outside into different sectors. And we still see this. We'll be in manufacturing and distribution, and there are plenty of opportunities for improving and increasing the distribution side of the business.
A few questions about environmental factors and single-use plastics, and I guess the overall all-encompassing theme there about reducing impacts and the rise of ESG and environmental pressures. Can you talk through how that manifests itself in the business and what you do, and then how you're...
I mean, we in fact we're probably front runners in this, in that we spent a lot of money in setting up our own recycling plant, which is probably one of the reasons why it was an attractive purchase for someone. So we set up a recycling plant so that we virtually eliminated any scrap within our own operations, and we also then put in a circular operation whereby if we sold the product to you, when you were finished with it, we were happy to take it back, and we'd take it back and we'd pay you for it, and we'd recycle it and use it again in something else. Now you can do that for a number of times in plastic, and so you've got it. The circular economy is all about reducing single use of plastics, and we'll continue to do that with the operations that we have. Further to that, I'm absolutely certain that governments will determine that petrochemical-based polymers, which cannot be easily, or if at all, broken down, will be taxed out of existence. But that will only mean that other polymers will be developed, plant-based, sugar-based. These will be the polymers that will be used in the future, and they will still require similar manufacturing techniques. They'll still be melted, shaped, drawn, pressed to give the containers and the shapes that we all need to make our lives comfortable. So I personally am very much unafraid of the social pressures which I believe must come, but they will be met by the industry bringing out new and improved materials. I think it's going to take. It's a bit like electric cars. It starts off in a small way, everybody's saying it'll never work, and I might have been one of those. And 5 years, 10 years down the line, it'll be completely different. So yes, we are very aware of our social responsibilities, but the fact of the matter is that modern life requires a certain degree of product that can be used to either pack things in, to protect things, to transport things, and all of the products that we use today. Cardboard is much more adverse than people realize. Paper, similar. They all have their problems. Plastic is very much at the forefront because we can see it floating in the water and we can see it, the damage it does. But I believe that there will be a solution, but it will be a forced solution.
And kind of a further question to that, we were asked whether you get demand from customers. Are customers asking or for alternative polymers, or is there pressure from that side?
There is certainly pressure from the customers to reduce the virgin material. So in other words, there's a much greater acceptance of recycled product. Many people seem to think that recycled product is inferior. It's not. And many people seem to think that you've got to have recycled product in everything that goes into a consumer product. I mean, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever in the functionality of the product. So there is a great deal now of realization and acceptance that we have to take out and reduce the amount of virgin polymers we're introducing. And there are any number of studies and programs around new polymers, none of which are yet economic, but they will be, and they will be driven by changes in legislation. You're not going to get the industry to change itself. Who's going to be the first one to go to one of the major users of and offer them a completely biodegradable product, but he's got to pay 25% more? They don't do it. But if government simply says to them, you're going to do it, otherwise we're going to tax you 35%, then that will drive it forward. That's no different from what they did with the automotive industry. They taxed them out of petrol engines and they taxed them out of diesel. It will come.
Okay, well, on that note, Joe, thank you very much indeed for joining us this evening. Thank you for the presentation.
It's a pleasure. And thank Lisa again for helping us through this.